Another big error done by one Tim Anderson, the third time this year this has occurred, where a ball was hit to him and he was already thinking what seemed to be thinking about making the play before he had secured the ball. And
Yep.
that led to a lot of runs being scored in an inning.
Started May 4th versus the Minnesota Twins. It happened again May
Against the
18th against
Yep.
Cleveland, at which Tom Hamilton, we made him asshole of the week for telling the world that Tim Anderson was not a good player and not a winner or whatever he said.
Yeah.
But yes, this is now the third occurrence. I think all occasions the infield is pulled in. Ball is hit directly to Tim Anderson. Like you said, he was thinking about throwing the ball before he actually got it into his glove, and it did not work. And I think they cost him all 3 games at single play. So
Yeah. So, that led me to say, will the real Tim Anderson please stand up? And I think it finally happened today as a story broke.
yes, yeah, you actually sent me your notes, your outline earlier today, and you were going to talk about you cleverly title it, "Will the real Tim Anderson please stand up?" And this afternoon, maybe around the time where you were sending that to me, podcast came out. I think it's called The Pivot, but
Yes.
Ryan Clark from ESPN,
Right.
former safety for the Steelers, but really, I think I first heard him on Mike and Mike years ago. He's a really good personality, really good TV and radio guy. So yeah, I didn't know he had a podcast, but he got Tim Anderson on it to talk about some very, very personal things that we've heard about on social media. You and I have talked about a little bit with everything going on with Tim, but Tim finally gave voice to it.
Yeah, and I mean, the dick's out of the pants, the cat's out of the bag, whatever you want to say, but Tim did cheat on his wife, and it's now officially out there from Tim Anderson, and I wonder if it was just finally too much for him to deal with. That it is. I mean, he's admitted it's affecting his game on the field.
Yeah, well, he cheated on his wife and has a child out of wedlock.
Yeah,
now.
a son.
Yeah, son out of. So that he is 1000% being the father to. He's 100% in his life. So, which I thought was really, really good to hear. I think that's part of what Tim wanted to make sure people understood, because he's seen it all play out on social media, and all the speculation, all the craziness. I think he wanted to address that to make people make sure people understood. Yeah, he made a mistake, but he's trying to do the best with that and be the father that he should be to his son out of wedlock.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It was nice to hear that it wasn't just like, hey, I'm coming clean and I got this kid over here and I got to deal with a situation in my relationship. But it seems like his wife too, Bria, is very supportive of him and this situation. He said there's been a lot of closed door therapy and things like that, which, he doesn't have to share any of this with us.
Right.
But I think for him, it is the step forward. It's the step forward that could finally allow him to be Tim Anderson again on the field, because
we're not seeing it now. Yeah.
Yeah, because now he doesn't have to, go on Twitter, and I'm sure there's a lot of negativity on Twitter now that he's come clean too, but he doesn't have to go on there and deal with the speculation and shy away from it. It's all out there. Obviously, he held on to it probably because everyone had to be comfortable with the announcement. His wife. I'm not sure how much his daughters are really young, and I'm not sure how much they understand. But
right.
There's a whole dynamic there that people never consider when you're in the spotlight. So, I feel a sense of relief for him that he was able to share this publicly. And I, again, feel a sense of relief because I feel like it could definitely lead to a more productive Tim Anderson.
Well, yeah, I mean, you hope so, as you being a White Sox fan, because chronicled the defensive errors that have cost you games, but he's a negative 0.3 WAR player right now. He's got
Yeah,
an
I know.
OPS plus of 70, which means he's
That
30% worse
unheard
than
of.
average. 0
It's
home
unbelievable.
runs. I don't even know how many RBI he has, but yeah, this is not
7? I think 7.
yeah, this is not the Tim Anderson anyone's used to.
It's
I think
also
yeah,
not.
go ahead.
I would say it's also not the Tim Anderson he wants to be with basically his last year with the White Sox because it's a club option.
Club option for
So
$14 million next year. He on the same podcast, he said it's be cool if they picked it up. It'd also be cool if they didn't, which I mean, that's just a guy accepting his fate because he doesn't control what this end of his contract. The White Sox have control over it. So
right.
I mean, that's the right attitude to have, but it's also the only attitude he can have towards it. So I think that might have been part of his thought process doing this podcast interview. I guess I have mixed feelings about it because you feel for the guy. You know, this he's been going through hell, and we can see it playing out on the field. You know, we've seen his frustrations come out in many ways. Where we saw the famous lip reading where he says, "I fucking hate this place," talking to Jose Abreu when he was on first base.
I thought it was he hated the pitch clock, Smitty.
Oh yeah, it was the pitch clock. Yeah,
Yeah, come on.
the I guess, I feel for him, but at the same time, this is all created by him. He created this situation. This is not anyone else's fault. It sucks that he's going through it, but yeah, this is an adult having to live with the choices he's made. So I appreciate that he is acknowledging that and doing the right thing. But this is all situation that Tim created himself. So maybe the thought process is now that he's unburdened himself with it, with this, he can start playing better on the field. I'm not sure that I mean, in the grand scheme of things, how much can baseball really mean to him when he's dealing with all this other stuff? It's understandable that would take a back seat and that it would, his performance would suffer. So it's I guess maybe he did this to give a window to the fans to understand what he's going through. But this is a production based business. It doesn't really matter if we feel for the guy or understand what's going on. He's got to perform on the field, and that is not happening.
Yeah, and I agree 100% with you. What you said, it's not like the year like when his friend got shot and he had
Yeah,
that bad. He was dealing with that. This is him not being able to control his urges for in the simplest sense. So yeah, but you again, like I just go back to you wonder, like when you haven't talked about it and it's not out in the public and you feel like you're keeping a secret and you're just like thinking about all of it while you're on the field. Maybe he'll be thinking about it a little less while he's on the field now.
yeah.
Word Hole Media.